Hey Sharon, how are you, love?
I am wonderful. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Thank you for joining me. So today we are going to learn about Miss Sharon Higgs, who is an FAA Part 107 drone pilot. Drop the mic. So
Yes.
Sharon, you and I know each other, but can you please share just like a brief overview of your background and your career path? And and all of that fun stuff and what led you to where you are today.
Okay. So, my background is I work for a very large retail company. And with that company, I started out in realty, which is the construction side of the business, which is definitely a male dominant field. I did that for many, many years. And then I decided to transition over to the e commerce side of the business. And now I'm on the drone side.
Nice. And what piqued your interest about the drone industry?
So, with my team decided to take a trip to our corporate office. And while we were there on our visit, we had a day to spend with the drone crew to visit the drone site and the drone crew. And me and a pair of mine got in earlier, and we decided we'll do a sneak peek and we'll go there ourselves. So when we went to the drone site, we had a lot of one-on-one with the drone pilots. So I started talking to them and asking them the different questions. And they were like, "Why don't you become a drone pilot?" And I was like, I don't know anything about that. So I started looking into it, and I kept in touch with most of the pilots, and that's what piqued my interest. Something different.
Okay, nice. So seeing all those drones on the platform, that's what piqued your interest in the industry.
Yes.
Nice. Those are not little drones either.
Oh, those are huge. They're huge.
They're huge. Okay. So So for me, what piqued my interest about the drone industry is that, I have a boutique marketing agency here in Metro Atlanta. And so I had construction clients and then I had real estate clients. And I was like, why am I paying other drone pilots, to come and capture footage? Like, how hard could it be? That's why I actually pursued my commercial drone license. So, but anyway, um, so when you explored getting your drone, learning how to fly drones, um, did you ever consider being just a hobbyist drone pilot, or did you know that you wanted to do the commercial side of the business?
Well, like I said, that was my first time hearing anything about drones. So I had
Hmm.
no idea what they did. So I started researching. So, of course, I started out as a hobbyist because I have no clue about drones. And then I started researching, and they had different avenues of where to go. And with the commercial, how I ended up doing commercial is that I started going to different seminars, and with our organization, a lot of the drone people, I started sending them emails. I started doing one-on-ones. I was always in their face, always on their face. So they knew who Sharon was. I did not stop pounding the pavement. And so when the position arrived, my boss said, "Hey, Sharon would be perfect for this because she always talks about drone, and I know she did a lot of stuff in drone." So that's how I got into it because my boss, helped me get there.
Okay, nice. Very nice. And so what you're doing is like completely different, and a lot of people don't have that opportunity. So, from the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you for sharing your journey because you never know how many other women out there are looking to work for a major retailer in a leadership drone, department position. So thank you. So, all right, so you shared how your journey progressed into, deciding to go from hobbyist to commercial. What was your deciding factor in getting that Part 107 certification? Because that's not an easy certification to get. We see people online say, you know what? Oh, I studied and I got my drone pilot's license in a week. Yeah, okay. But for someone like you and I who didn't have a technical background, tell me about that journey into getting your Part 107.
So my journey might be different from yours So I kept in touch with the drone pilots, like I said, and
Mm.
one of the drone pilots said, "Hey, why don't you find a local drone group in your area so you can go ahead and join and you can fly with whomever?" So I said, "Okay, I will." Then he told me what kind of drone to get. So I purchased this drone, and of course I was home. I have no idea about drones, so of course I hit it. It hit into the wall, straight into the wall, and I broke my propeller because I have no idea how to even use it, how to even turn it on. So I was like, maybe I'll go to this drone group and maybe they can answer a lot of questions. So I pulled up to this drone group. First, when I pulled up, I'm looking, I'm the only female. You have all these guys, with their chests up and they're flying their drones and they're like, I'm a drone pilot. So when I got out the car and I started asking questions, and because I have no idea what a drone is, and one of this guy, he was like, did you read your manual? I was like, no. When you read your manual, and we don't fly those kind of drones around here. And he was so rude,
Mm.
and he was very rude. So I started packing up my stuff, and I started heading to my car. And he was like, I didn't upset you, did I? I said, yes, you did. You pissed me off, and I'm headed to my car. And remember my face because you'll see me again in the bright lights. And I left. And when I got in my car, I was like, this man is not going to stump my dreams. I'm going to continue this. So right then, that was my deciding factor. I'm going to get this 107 and I'm going to show him something. So I went home and I started studying because I was studying forever and I kept on putting it down. I kept procrastinating. And he really, really pushed my button and I passed it. And I went back and hey, look at me now because you were not going
Mm.
to run me away. And
You,
that test was very hard, I must say.
it sure was. I mean, like for me, when I think the thing for me was just seeing all men out there, on construction sites flying drones. I'm like, why are there no women out here? I'm like, seriously? Even with real estate photography, getting those cool cardinal shots and all of that, all men. I'm like, okay, come on, seriously? And not to even mention the drone light shows and we'll talk about that in a minute, and the construction space, the telecom, the utility space, all men. So let's continue talking about that FAA test, right? So when I studied like you, because you just mentioned that, you study, put it down, study, do all of that. It probably took me realistically 9 months to study because I was trying to do marketing client work. You know, I was had some family stuff going on. Our son had just got married, new G babies, all of that fun stuff. And so the areas that I struggled in, I think was similar to you. It's like the weather and then also the sectional charts. What areas did you struggle in, and what advice would you give to a female who is looking at taking the test?
So just like you mentioned, I struggle in sectional chocolate. I have no idea what that was.
Mm-hmm.
And weather, because I don't know anything about cumulus cloud. I didn't even pay attention to science when I was in school. So all that was French to me. It was very hard. And I started off with some certain type of training. I had no idea what this guy was talking about. He was very monotone, and he was really making it confusing for me. And then I went to another company, which was Drone Institute, which was good because I kept on rewinding. I've done a lot of YouTube videos. I have reached out to a lot of people. They were sending me different feedback, but everybody's learning style is different.
Mm-hmm.
It's different. Not even because I even joined that Part 107 test on online on Facebook group, and they were like, "Oh, I passed it in 2 weeks." I'm like, "You're right." When I did go and take it, I'm not gonna lie, I failed it.
Mm-hmm.
I did not pass it, and I waited the 14 days, and I went back, and I'm not afraid to tell people that. They're not telling you that part; they're just telling you that they passed it. It was hard. It was very difficult. So I would
Mm-hmm.
say, keep on whatever your learner style is. Don't let anyone else force you to go and take a test when you're not ready because you're intimidated because everyone's saying, "Oh, I passed, I passed it." I bet you they didn't pass it like I did at the first time. But I'm glad I passed it.
Yeah, you did. You did. I mean, and it's crazy because, with those sectional charts and the Class B, Class D, Class C airspace, and then you have the solid magenta and the broken, the dotted magenta lines. I'm like, what? And I live near a Class D airport here in Gwinnett County. And so at my house, if I'm trying to get some flight hours here at home, I can only go 100 feet above ground level. And I'm just like, okay, so for me, I had to go to YouTube University. I use Pilot Institute as well, but I really had to go to YouTube University and just go through a whole bunch of YouTube videos and, people explaining sectional charts in different ways for me to understand it. And once I got it, and I'll be honest, I think it took me probably about 2 months to really understand it like the back of my hand. Now, of course, when I fly, commercially out of Hartsville, and if I happen to be sitting on the window seat, oh, I know what those signs mean. I know all of that.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
you learn all
Exactly.
of that as a drone pilot.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
And when with the section of chart, I reached out to one of the drone pilots, and he sends me something in Minecraft. I don't even know what Minecraft is. So I was like, "What is this?" So I couldn't figure it out, and he sent me something with like a, I don't know. But anyways, I figured it out, and there's
Yeah.
different
And
resources. The FAA
and
have stuff. So
yeah. And you know what? And the fact that you said mind chart that this guy sent that to you, I wonder how many people you and I have reached out to that's purposely tried to get us off of our path, send us down a wild goose chase instead of
exactly.
sitting, pointing us to resources that would truly help us. So that's just a thought. So, you know, the drone industry, what, 310,000 drone pilots, I think, by now. I know a couple of years ago when we got our licenses, it was like 307,000 drone pilots. Now we may be up to like 310, 311, somewhere in that ballpark. And I think the last stat I saw, like 7% of the drone pilots are minorities, and then only 1% of the minority 1% are actually women. Female
Yes.
drone pilots, black female drone pilots, 1%. 5% are women drone pilots in general. 7% all minorities out of 310,000. So we are truly in a frustrating male dominated field, right? Not
Oh
to
yeah.
mention, with us being in a male dominated field, we're also in a very expensive field too.
Oh
So,
yes.
what are some of the biggest challenges that you faced once you got your drone pilot's license? From whether it's in person or online or starting a business or whatever.
So the challenges that I faced is, like you said, it's only 1%. So we don't belong there. And when I've gone to a lot of these different conventions and conferences, you'll meet them and they were like, "Oh yeah, call me. Here's my number." And you reach out to them, they don't answer you and they don't return your phone call. So they're just selling you a dream. So that's the challenges that I have received. And I walk into a room and they get quiet because I'm the only female and sometimes the only person of color there. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the challenges I've gotten.
Yeah. And I don't know if you remember, so you and I met at Commercial UAV, right? Out in Vegas. Huge drone show. And I remember when we met, we clicked and we stuck together and we tried to connect with all the black female drone pilots. And then I think eventually we took a picture with all the female pilots there, right? And it was only like what, less than 20 of us there that we met, right? There were some female pilots who were actually from the Dubai police force that were
Yes.
there. Yeah, right. And so what was interesting is the one thing I do remember is when we were walking to meet the vendors, to see the different types of drone tech that was out there. Some of the male vendors didn't even want to speak to me. And I'm like, "Hi."
Yeah.
Like do you not
Yeah.
take me seriously? I am part 107. And then when I say, yes, I have my license, they're like, oh, well, what do you do? And
I
I
get it.
have a business, right? And I had at the time I had a client that was in the ag business, and I was specifically looking for agricultural drones, which is why I also went to the Drone Nerds conference down in Miami. And it's like only once you tell them, oh, I'm here to look at 25, $50,000 drones, then it's like, oh, hi, how are you? How can I help you? Like seriously, but 2 seconds ago you didn't even want to talk to me. It's frustrating.
Oh yeah, it is.
And
It
yeah,
is.
yeah, it's frustrating. And I remember, and you and I have also talked about this too, like, you go on the online Facebook groups for drone pilots, here in Georgia, the drone pilots group. And I remember this guy was somewhere in Central or South America, and he had just purchased this drone of a Maverick 3 Enterprise drone, right? And so he asked a simple question. He purchased it to enhance his business in the country that he lived in. He also had a license, a drone pilot's license. He asked one simple question about this. The guys in the group, they're just going down and, on him and being mean. Like, why would you purchase a $6,000 drone and you don't know this and that? And I'm like, and this is just like, seriously? And this is what we women, what female drone pilots have to face, whether it's in person, it's at a drone meetup. I mean, it's crazy, and we shouldn't have to do this.
And then with that drone group that I was flying with, you see the
Hmm.
guys in the huddle, and they'll talk about, oh yeah, after this we're gonna meet up and we're gonna go fly. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna fly. And they were like, okay, okay. And they don't never invite me. And then you'll see them post videos on Facebook later that they went
Mm.
flying. And they do it all the time. I've asked them like 3 different times, hey, I want to go flying with you guys. They never invite me. I always see it on Facebook. And then
Mm.
that same group, last year, they have some kind of big event that they have for the community. And I overheard them talking about what they're going to be doing, the different parts, what they're going to be doing in the event. And I was like, oh, I want to help. I want to do it. The guy turns around to me and says, oh, you can cook. And I said to him,
It's
why do I have to cook? Yeah. So it's still out there. They're still doing it. Yeah.
wow. It's sad. My goal for this podcast is to try to grow the number of female drone pilots in the
Yeah.
United States. It's a fun industry. You
It
know,
is.
I love being outside flying my drone. I love traveling with my drone. And it's just sad that there are people out there that treat us like we do not belong in this industry.
Yes, they do.
It's
And they
very
still,
sad. So, but
but I
we're
don't
not going
care.
to let
I drone anyway.
say that again.
I said, I don't care. I fly my drone anyway. I will show up and they're there looking up and look at my drone. I don't care. I pull my drone out and I start flying. One day I was there and I was flying and all of a sudden it got quiet and everybody was like, you go, girl. And I said, what? I turned around, all the guys stopped and they were watching me fly.
So, it was crazy. Um, when I went to that show in Miami, so on all these drones, you can land them automatically and all of that stuff, right? You can have it to return to home automatically. When I went to that show in Miami, um, or South Florida, all of the pilots that were doing the demos, no, I'm sorry, it was the Vegas show when we went out to the park. Um, Everyone that was flying the drones, they were landing them, they were far away from, the landing pad. And I'm like, okay, you all have obviously been flying drones a lot longer than me. And you can't land a drone on the landing pad from where you're standing. And I know that perception is one thing. So that was one of the things. So my husband was like, well, what's this button? I said, that's the return to home where it will land automatically. And he said, well, have you ever used it? No, I
Nope.
fly manually. And I told a male pilot that, and he was like, what? I was doing a real estate job, and and I was with someone, and he was also a drone pilot, and he was like, "Do you put the waypoints in?" No, I fly it manually. You do? I do. So
Yep.
It's
I get the same.
crazy. Okay, so here's another question for you. Who's the better drone pilot, women or men?
Women,
Why?
because we pay attention to detail. These guys are in a hurry. They want to throw the drone up. Oh, my drone is bigger, and they're not paying attention. Women, we're very particular, and we're
Hmm.
gonna take our time. We're gonna make sure we follow the rules. I see it a lot. Those guys are just zipping and zapping, and they always. If you hear a guy talk, you hear him say, "Oh, I crashed my drone." They always crash their drones. Oh, it flew in
Mm.
the tree. Oh yeah, the drone did it. You didn't do it. The drone did it. And yes, I did crash mine because I was new to it when I first got it. So of course I hit it into the wall. But they do it all the time. Or they
Yeah.
lose their drone. So women,
Yeah, I agree. And I think I shared the story with you before. My husband and I went to Curacao, right, for Thanksgiving. And I did have my drone, but it was real windy. So I'm like, no, I'm not going to fly. And we had rented a car and we were at another beach far away from the hotel. And so this guy is flying his drone. He's flying it over people, over the beach. The drone is going zoom, 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 just very reckless and just like very abrupt moves. And I'm like, dude, you don't have any prop guards. You're flying really low. And like, dude, you need to be out over the water, not right over people on the beach. And I was just like, ooh, if I was a parent and I had kids under that drone where he was right on the beach, I would have said, let's move. But yeah, so you're right. So, for what advice would you give to any females or that are looking to start a career as a commercial drone pilot? And we can and anyone can get a drone pilot's license at age 16. So what advice would you give?
my advice is to do your research, know what kind of
Hmm.
field that you want to go into. And once you figure out what area you want to go into, go on LinkedIn and find out who's doing those type of drones for the certain companies and reach out to them. Hopefully they'll answer back, but just reach out and do
Hmm.
not give up because they're going to say anything to discourage you. Just keep your head up and just keep going and keep knocking on doors because one day the door will open and you will have your seat at the table.
I wish I'd met you before I got my drone pilot's license.
Because I know what I had to go through.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the whole purpose of this episode is, so that other people coming behind us, whether they're female or they're minorities, this is a hard industry to crack. It's a hard industry, you know, and I pray that people don't have the experiences that we have. I mean, there have been so many times I have gone to my husband in tears. It's like, you talk to, people send you an email and it's just like, hey, I want to, inquire about your drone services. And then when you hop on a Zoom or a phone call and it's like, oh, you're female. No, thank you. Like, seriously?
Yes,
Come
ma'am.
on. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
it's
remember, yeah, and like for you, like, you're in the drone delivery space, right? So for me, I'm in the construction and real estate space. And so last summer, I wanted to get experience with drone shows. So I found the company who does the Stone Mountain Drone Show. I applied, I interviewed, and I was like, oh my gosh, I got an interview. I was so excited. And again, I was doing it for the experience because drone shows have always fascinated me, right? You're looking up in the sky and you see 300 drones, all choreographed. I'm like, that is so cool.
yeah, I
So I
want to do
got the
that.
job. It's cool. And so I got the job, my first day at Stone Mountain, couldn't find a hidden parking spot or whatever. So I finally find it. I walk down to the trailer. I'm the only female on
Of
the
course you.
drone team. And this drone team is also responsible for the uh, Disney drone show and also Dollywood. Only female. But they were very welcoming. I had a lot of fun. I worked my butt off. I learned so much about the drones that they used and how the show was choreographed and how the fleets are set out. And, it's just a cool experience. So, so my advice, if people are interested in the drone industry, and I would say, hey, start out in somewhere easy like a drone show so you can learn everything that you can kind of all at once and then figure out, what industry you want to go in from there because that's the easy entry point.
Well, because you're in Georgia, because some areas don't have it, and that's what I
Yeah.
want to do. I'm really fascinated with the drone light shows. And while we were at the convention, one of the guys who says that he builds those drones, I reached out to him on LinkedIn and crickets. So that's an industry that I am really really interested in because it's different. You don't have
Yeah.
too many, and then a female doing a drone light show. Oh yeah, girl, you got it going on.
Yeah. And it's crazy because with the drone light show, so it's Stone Mountain, there are two visual observers, and they're basically keeping their eyes on the drone and on the pathway to make sure, people don't, that they're not in that restricted space, right? And then what's crazy is so then you have the PMTC, and that's the person managing the controls from inside the trailer, and you're sitting at the computer, and the scariest thing, right, is you have to set up the show and then and the b-roll footage is going on the top of the mountain over your head, and you have 1,000 people who've paid to get into Stone Mountain. They're set up there on the lawn, and every night I would hold my breath when I was the person managing the controls until I would see the drone fleet, because so the drones go dark, right before they launch, so they go dark, and then they do a LED test. They start flashing, and you would think once I saw that I'll be okay. They're getting ready to take off. No, I would not breathe easily until I saw 250 drones taking off. And
Nice.
then I would look up the lawn into the reflection of the building at the top of the lawn, and then I would see them do their LED test in the air. And I was like, okay, 9 minutes, I'm good.
Nice, nice. So with you getting in there, you didn't have to have any type of software background, because that's what they told me.
Mm-mm.
I guess that's something
So,
to discourage me.
so I think it's a little different. So if you want to choreograph the show, then yes. So the package that Stone Mountain and Disney and Dollywood uses, they use a third party company. I believe it's called Dronios, and they choreograph the show, and we upload the package before every show. So
Okay.
they choreograph it, right? But what's crazy is when the drones fall out of the sky, I mean, the GPS shows you exactly where it is in the lake. And then we go fishing after the show.
I was like, ew.
We're in the rowboat. We're going out there to retrieve that drone. But yeah, it was a great experience because I'd never touched a soldering tool before last summer. I know
Uh,
how to solder. I know how to take the drones apart, put them back together, do the wind test, do the test flights after the maintenance has been performed. So it's been cool. So I'm
Sounds
looking
amazing.
forward to it. Yeah. So you got to join us.
I know. I need to.
Yeah. Well, this has been fun. Thank you so, so much for joining me today.
You're more than welcome, and thank you for inviting me.
Thank you.